Welcome to MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm your host, Camille Diaz, and this episode is Hindsight 2020, a year in review. Today, I'm also the guest. My friend Dave Berlin from episode 32 was told by someone on his show, the Dave Means Business podcast, to occasionally do a solo episode. He passed that suggestion along to me, and I've decided the end of the year is the perfect time to do it. So if you like this solo episode, let him know. And if you hate it, blame me. I'm sure I've done something wrong. Somehow. No costume for this episode. I thought I'd just give you a chance to see me as me. Here in my world, 2020 started with a trip planned to visit New Zealand and Australia. My mom and I were booked to fly out to visit my sister and her growing family. I was really looking forward to seeing them and ending my trip by exploring the Sydney Harbor and the Blue Mountains. And as the year started, I was trying to decide if I should cancel the Australia leg of the trip, since the mountains that I longed to hike were on fire and the air quality in Sydney was terrible and all kinds of stuff like that was happening. I know, that was still this year. On January 7th, my mom slipped on some ice in a parking lot, fractured the back of her skull, and had a concussion. She got 2 staples. Not so good for 10 days before an international flight. So we canceled the trip. Yay for for travel insurance, because we got reimbursed, so that worked out. In March, my kids came home for spring break. And they never went back to school because we all went into quarantine. So kind of the longest spring break ever. Until that point, I'd been networking, meeting with clients, staying pretty busy, running around, interacting with people all day. And I'm a natural introvert. So that goes against my normal behavior that I would do if I wasn't running a business and needing to do those things. So when we stayed home, there were a lot of people hating life, but for me, kind of had a chance to refresh. My creativity grew back because I think I'd put it on hold, and I figured out how I wanted to structure the podcast that I'd been wanting to start for almost 2 years. I knew I wanted to create something related to money, but the shows on how to invest, how to get out of debt, how to make a budget, had been done so many times that I didn't feel there was a lot of value I could add in that space. Then one day it hit me. I could explore the emotional side of money. So that afternoon, which was a Friday in April, I posted on Facebook, "Hey, thinking of starting a podcast. Anyone want to do it with me?" In about 24 hours, I had 30 responses. My network of friends and business associates was so strong that people didn't even ask me what it was about, what are we doing, how's it going to work. They just said, "Yes, count me in," which was awesome. I was super grateful and super surprised because now I thought, oh crap, now I actually have to do this thing. Can't get out of it. Too late. Put it out there. So I recorded about 5 episodes in 3 days and another 7 or so the following week. And the first episode released approximately a month later in mid-May. This episode that I'm recording now is number 36. So it's going well. I know many people have struggled during COVID times, depression and frustration with finances, with illness, with uncertainty. And I face those battles as well. So I am ever so grateful to the supportive people in my life who have continuously been there for me. I'm particularly grateful for you, my audience, and my professional network who's continued to support me and introduce me to new people. In what I do, because I always want to have that professional persona, I rarely discuss politics, religion, race, or any of those other hot button topics. However, I feel with what's happened in the Black community this year, it's something I can no longer stay silent on. Those who have only listened to the podcast and never watched the videos on YouTube might not realize that I'm half African American. I've been told many times that my voice sounds neutral. It's hard to place where I'm from or what my background is. A lot of people actually don't realize it when they see me. When I worked in a predominantly Mexican school district in California, most of the parents there assumed I was Mexican. And when I visited Puerto Rico, most of the people there thought I was Puerto Rican. And that's a totally reasonable assumption because there's a huge, huge range of what Puerto Rican people look like. And my last name is Diaz, so that's logical, except my husband's the Puerto Rican one, and that's his last name. I actually remember a time in elementary school, maybe 4th or 5th grade, and I was walking into the bathroom with my best friend, just on recess, walking in. And a girl on her way out stopped in front of me, kind of blocking the door, wouldn't let us pass. And she says, "What are you?" And I instantly answered, "Half black, half white." And she said, "Oh." And then she just kept going. So she kept going out and we kept going in. And I didn't really think anything of it until my best friend says, and my best friend was pretty much as white as you could get. And she says, "I'm really glad you knew what she was asking because I had no idea." That's something that's kind of stuck with me. So many things come up when I think about that situation happening. Not just why did she ask, but why did I instinctively know the answer? Why did I know at age 10 or so that my race was being questioned? And not in a kind way out of curiosity of just like, "Hey, I don't understand, please help me," but in an accusing way of, "Why are you different?" And more than that, why was I prepared for that question? Why didn't I have a neutral answer to say, like, "I'm human"? When I think about this, I realize it's because race is a big deal in America. And at its core, this whole thing, and a lot of what we've been through this year, it boils down to a power struggle. Typically, those who have the majority of the power are disinclined to share it. And that doesn't matter where you are or what race you are. It's just the way it is. So how do we stop this cycle of marginalizing Black and brown people? Here's my best advice to my brothers and sisters and anyone of any race who feels they or their group doesn't have sufficient status or power. Grow your wealth. In our society, mo money means mo power. If you want the brown to be respected, the brown better have some green. It doesn't matter how much you make. Everyone can save something. Whether it's 20%, 10%, 5%, even just 1% of your income. If you make $1, put aside a penny. Everyone can save something if they make it a priority. Because the habit of saving is more important than the amount of money saved. My next piece on that, how to increase your power, is to buy life insurance. And I know that sounds really self-serving because I'm a life insurance agent. And sure, if you'd like to buy from me or tell your friends to buy from me, awesome, I would appreciate it. That's how I make my living, support my family, support this show. But my point goes far beyond my own small business. The first instances of life insurance were to cover soldiers and merchant sailors. Their families paid in, and if a soldier or sailor died while on duty, the family was given money from the group funds in order to pay for a proper burial. This prevented the death from putting a financial burden on the family. Think about that piece first. When someone in your family dies and their income potential dies with them, now there's the added cost of final expenses. So it becomes a double drain on the family. You're getting hit twice. No more income, plus you got to deal with what happened. And there might be some medical bills to go along with that. Later on, life insurance evolved to help the nobility pass wealth from one generation to the next. So when someone wealthy dies, there could be an estate tax. Life insurance was used to pay the estate tax, so all of the person's wealth could be transferred to the family. They used the life insurance company's money to pay the taxes instead of the family's money. This is how wealthy people get wealthier. They know how to use other people's money to pay for their expenses so they can keep their own money. And they know how to avoid things like compound interest so they don't have to pay extra for the things they buy. Life insurance policies create legacies. Imagine if everyone in a family has a policy with a $500,000 death benefit and the parents die, preferably of old age. Now there's $1 million to pass down, $500,000 from each of them. If the next generation does the same, that family is a family of millionaires in a matter of 2 to 3 generations. Imagine if every person of color had a life insurance policy. Every time one of us was killed or died in some way, hundreds of thousands of dollars would flow into our communities. How long do you think it would take before those powerful companies making the payouts would start to complain if we were being killed faster than others, or if that community was passing away earlier than others? We would no longer have to protest to change public policy. It would be changed for us by those who have the power and those who stand to lose money. So I say again, if you don't like your situation, grow your wealth. All right, rant concluded. Those of you watching on video may have noticed some background changes in recent episodes as my desk has moved around my house. I now have my office set up downstairs, and our daughter has moved upstairs to where my office used to be. You see, to add to the craziness of 2020, I injured my right knee for about the 10th time, and I wasn't doing anything strenuous when I did it. My husband and I agreed that this time I was getting an MRI, and we were getting this problem solved. As the doctor was scrolling through my MRI, he said, "Well, this is where I should see your ACL, and it's not there." And my brain thought, wait, what? What do you mean it's not there? I learned that I destroyed that ACL in college. I remember that event vividly, but the doctor at the emergency room just diagnosed it as a sprain, gave me some crutches, patted me on the head, said you'll be okay in about 6 weeks. I have been living without that ligament for the past 20 some years. And this has caused me to have continual problems with that leg. About 10 injuries altogether on that knee. So a few weeks ago, I had reconstructive surgery. I'm still on crutches, and I will be in physical therapy for several more months, teaching my leg to walk normally again. It is quite the process, and I'm so grateful for my family, who has had to do just about everything for me lately, as I can't use crutches and carry things at the same time. So someone has to, pick out my clothes or make my meals and refill my ice and, so I can ice my leg again, and just so many things that they've been covering that I haven't been able to help with that I would normally do. I'm grateful for the experience and that it's giving me a chance to really appreciate them. And I'm so ready to be able to walk and be functional again, because I am that type of person who really likes to do things on my own. I am confident that this will turn out okay. They tell me I should be walking normally in a few more months, definitely by summer. I should be able to do pretty much walk and stairs and things like that. but it's going to be about a year before that graft is fully healed and as strong as it can possibly be. So I've got to avoid all types of activities that could potentially injure it, including one of my favorite hobbies, which is ballroom dance. So I'll be having to look for some other things to do and enjoy and exercise in between. I have decided to take this as an opportunity to do a full health reassessment. So I'm working with a nutrition coach to help get my nutrition better and lose a few pounds, because if I take some weight off my upper body, maybe my knees will thank me. And as it's safe, I'll also be expanding my exercise routine. So I hope to have good stuff to report on that in the future. Because of all of you listening and sharing this show, our audience has grown exponentially in just 7 months. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in and continuing to support the show. I look forward to 2021, and I wish you all the very best. Feel free to reach out and let me know what you thought of this solo episode. On Facebook, I'm at MoneyHeart Show, or through the website, moneyheartshow.com. Just go to contact us and fill out the little form. Today's money mantra is, everyone leaves a legacy. Leave a legacy of which you can be proud.